Hey team, hope your training is going well this weekend. I wanted to go over a question that's recently been asked, and that's how do I stay motivated to run regularly? And I think I obviously had a lot of ebbs and flows over my career as a middle to long distance runner, and trying to find out what can keep me to continue to train when the conditions outside aren't optimal, when I don't have training partners, when I have failures in training and failures in races, not hitting splits that I want. It really comes down to your overall why. What are you doing? What is driving you to continue to be an athlete, a middle distance runner or a long distance runner? Is it to qualify for the Boston Marathon? Is it to break, say, 4:30 for 1,500 meters? Are you trying to run sub 50 minutes for 10K? Breaking 20 minutes for a 5K, or wherever you currently are in your fitness level. You know, sometimes writing down goals is helpful for athletes. I certainly did that myself. Not only just thinking about what is the overall motivation of what I'm doing, whether it's to lose weight, whether it's to run a faster time, whether it's to qualify for a world championship team or to qualify for the Olympic trials, whatever it is, we all have our own particular goals and aspirations. Some of the things that helped me over the years was just being surrounded by or putting myself in environments that I was surrounded by people that were better than me as not only just an athlete, but just being around people that demand excellence, that are not only thinking just solely about themselves, but they're thinking about the team as a whole. You know, and that's kind of what I learned with team environments is, hey, if you're working with a team, you're going to be surrounded by people that are at your level, that aren't at your level, and those that are far above you in your level. And sometimes we learn more from total beginners than we do with the athletes or people that are far above us in a particular niched down area. You know, whether it be running or business or something else. But I think that's, you know, in terms of how to stay motivated to run regularly, surround yourself with people that are going to force you out of your comfort zone. You are not going to make major leaps in the sport by just doing what's required out of you. Okay? Yeah, and I always talk about it's not about the volume you're putting in. You can be running 120 miles a week, and somebody running 30 miles a week will absolutely destroy you on the roads or on the track. So it's not about the volume. It's how you're setting up your training. It's the quality of the work you're doing. It's the amount of stress that you're placing on yourself. A lot of times athletes will just overthink and overanalyze. Like I gotta hit this specific split at this specific point in the race. Or if I don't hit that, then I'm way off. And it's the overanalyzing and overly worrying about these things. I think when you lower the amount of stress you're placing on yourself mentally as well as physically after you do the physiological training, you know, if you give yourself 48 hours of recovery after you do a very hard workout, then you're going to set yourself up for success to handle the next hard anaerobic workout because you're giving yourself time to decompress, to recover, to sleep well, to hydrate well, get the right foods in you after you do a hard workout. But I think really motivation comes down to just trial and error. Sometimes, you know, you get more motivated when you don't succeed. You know, for me, that was one of many motivating factors for me to stay motivated is because I kept dreaming about something that I wanted to do. You know, for me, it was a specific marathon time I was aiming for. And when I was like 20 minutes away from that time, I kept seeing myself achieving the time I wanted. And I was like, I know I have that in me, but I don't know how long it's going to take me. It might take me 10 years, another 10 years of training. But the point for me was I wanted to get to that point. So I was very focused on mental rehearsal. And I always stress to athletes that don't place all of your training and all of your time and effort on physical training, just physical training. Because I think you're neglecting your preparation and because most of the world-class athletes, national class athletes that I've trained with over the years, they combine both mental rehearsal, seeing themselves performing at a high level, doing something that they're dreaming about before they, or well before they're capable of doing it, they're doing it in their mind over and over again before it's actually become a reality. And I think the athletes, the top level athletes I've been around, surrounded by, combine both the physical training also with mental rehearsal. And it only takes about 5 to 10 minutes each day to do that, whether it's when you're first getting up in the morning or when you go to bed at night, and training both your mind as well as your body. And I think that if you do that and you start studying, another thing that helped me in terms of staying motivated to run regularly on a regular basis was, seeking knowledge. Read books that great coaches have written to help you become a better runner. Watch videos like this. Go to resources like RunDreamAchieve.com. I have a lot of blog posts there. I have the YouTube channel. You can go back and watch old videos, and not just mine, other athletes, other coaches, whatever you need to do to keep yourself going when the doubt creeps up, and when those times where you're just really questioning what you're doing out there and if it's really worth it. You have to keep your dreams and what you want and what you desire at the forefront of your mind, and not just in your mind, but also writing it down on paper, saying it out loud. I'm a 2-hour half marathoner, and I'm going to run 1:45 one day. I'm going to run under 1:45 for the half marathon, and saying it out loud, but also, and not just saying it out loud and writing it down, but actually putting in obviously the physical training. You're not just going to be able to sit on the couch and say, I'm a 2-hour half marathoner and I want to go under 1 hour and 45 minutes. I'm going to do that. You have to put in the physical work, as we all know. But if you're training properly and you're running the proper amount of quality mileage along with enough aerobic mileage that you recover from what you're doing, you're going to perform at a high level. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Anybody that's persistent enough and has that tenacious attitude that I'm not going to quit regardless of what I'm going through, I'm going to get to my goal. That's how you stay motivated to run regularly. Just take it one day at a time, and if you have to run 1 to 2 days a week, don't think that you're any less of an athlete that's running 7 days a week, okay? Allow yourself time to first get into physiological shape, or get into that aerobic training phase, get through put in your mileage, and get to a point where if you're just running 1 to 2 days a week, do that for about a month, and then add an additional day. And then get to a point where you build yourself up to where you're running 3 days a week. Then go to 4, then go to 5, and gradually move yourself up to that. But don't just jump into trying to run 6 days a week or 7 days a week, because that'll make you feel depressed and fatigued, and and again, it starts to play mind games on you when you don't get quick results. I think if you do have a belief in delayed gratification, I think that's what any successful individual, whether they're an athlete, business, teacher, regardless of what niche they're in, or niche, whatever niche or niche they're in, the people that are successful because they don't quit. They're willing to do whatever it is they're doing for several years, decades. Most people don't want to work that long, understandably. It's not only for their sanity, but it's just the fact that a lot of times we fail to realize how long it's going to take to really achieve what we want. And I think as long as it's healthy, as long as it's not counterproductive to you as an individual, I think that running, and particularly running, is a healthy activity. Okay, the faster you're wanting to run, obviously there's more that's involved. If you're and regardless of where you're at, if you're a 5-hour marathoner, somebody that's trying to break 5 hours for the marathon, that's as difficult of a goal as somebody that's trying to break 2 hours and 30 minutes for the marathon. We all have our own backgrounds and different physiological capabilities and mental capabilities. But I think whatever it is you're trying to do in terms of how do I stay motivated to run regularly, read the right books, listen to podcasts, listen to YouTube videos, watch videos like this if you need to. Surround yourself, fill yourself up with the right content that's going to help you stay motivated. You know, for me as a believer, reading the Bible I think is helpful for me, and I did that over the years. I still do it just to remind myself that, hey, I got to hold myself accountable to be a better individual, and as an athlete as well. But whatever it is, it's just listening to the right content, doing the right things in training, not running so much aerobic mileage when you're trying to race. You know, it's one thing if you're trying to start and finish a marathon or start and finish a 5K. You can run, for the most part, you can run just aerobic mileage. You know, just stay consistent, be consistent, and keep your motivation high. But if you're trying to race specific times, if you're trying to run a 5K in under 16 minutes or 25 minutes, you have to train a specific way. And I think once you start to get better results and you get into better fitness, your motivation's going to grow. You're going to be more excited. You're going to be more driven to get to that goal that you're aiming for. But just know you are going to experience, and I'm preaching to the choir, I know, because you've all experienced this. You're going to deal with doubt. You're going to deal with bad races, bad performances. I've dealt with it throughout my entire career as a middle to long distance runner. I dealt with all those things, but I had that I was always thinking about short-term goals, long-term goals. What do I need to get to my first short-term goal? How long is it going to take me? Writing down my goals, planning what I wanted to do. If I failed, then I just stayed the course. I just, the same with you. You have to realize that there is going to be challenges, but any successful individual has always had to experience that. So don't let up, okay? I can't stress that enough. Wherever you're at, if you're doubting yourself, if you're just stressed out, take some time away from the sport. You don't need to keep trying to train and force yourself to do. Maybe I'll do it 2 weeks from now. Sometimes just decompress, take some time away, a week or two, enjoy yourself, eat whatever you want, gain some weight, then get back out and train properly and get out there and get your goal. Hope this answers the question of how do I stay motivated to run regularly, and just hearing from some things, even from my own background, just hearing it sometimes will give you that motivation that, hey, okay, I'm back on track. I really needed to hear this. I hope it was helpful. So thanks so much for watching my videos. Thanks for liking and sharing my videos, and check out the resources below or on RunDreamAchieve.com. Wish you guys and gals all the very best in your training on the roads and on the track, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.